Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Church in Fall River, Mass.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Lauren Hannah Murphy, and I live in Abington, Massachusetts. My home church is Channing Unitarian Universalist Church in Rockland, and I've been doing lay-led services there probably for the past 15 or 16 years. I'm excited to share one of my services with you today. We'll light the chalice now. In igniting this chalice, we cast upon it our hopes and intentions for all that is positive in our minds and in our hearts. May this precious light shine on. And we'll now sing hymn number 38, Morning Has Broken.
Praise for the sleeping, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rains do fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, strong in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's the flame. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
And your affirmation, if you can join. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God. Are there any announcements today?
Welcome, Lori. We're really, looking forward to what you have to share with us today. We don't have a lot of new people joining us, so it's always a pleasure to meet someone. I'm so glad you can make it.
Thank you.
And I wanted to let people know that Richard is going to be our service next week, and maybe we'd like to speak a little bit about Lori for a talk.
I think it's called, what's it called? Asking the wrong questions.
Yes.
Asking the wrong questions. We ask a lot of wrong questions in life, especially in religious and political contexts.
Thank you. So I just want to let everybody know that there's another no heat protest on October 18th from 12 to 2. There are lots of locations in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, particularly one in Fall River down near Market Basket. And the other one that's close by is Swansea at intersection 118 and Route 6. Yes, and Route 6. So just give you plenty of notice to put it on your calendar if you so inclined.
And I just have a little sharing thing that I have on the coffee table over there. It's, I am a consumer of Kenzie Spices. I don't know if you know about this company, but it's kind of a progressive spice company, and they're right out there with it. You know, they have spice garages and stuff. So anyway, there are some little sample packets that I got, and it's Stardust, but it's a spice blend. I hope you take one, and as they say, prevail, season liberally.
We tend we said, I think we start collecting things for homeless. And Tracy said that there's an organization called her that I have heard of called Thrive for Humanity. And she read a list of items that they need now on their Facebook page. This is that list. I went on the Facebook page for Thrive for Humanity. And these are things that they could appreciate having.
And do we bring them in like to that? Is that
Folks, Susan Burge asked me to just let you know that she wasn't able to be here tonight. She had a family gathering, and she wanted you to know that it's fine. She's just not here tonight.
If there are no other announcements, Nancy, would you like to play something?
Yeah, I got one.
Oh, sorry.
Red Sox are in the playoffs.
That's the best one of all.
That's it.
Grace meets us where we are. There is nothing you need to bring with you to be welcome here. no right beliefs or proof of citizenship, no eternal optimism or clarity of conviction, no boundless courage or endless expertise. You do not need to know what brought you here or how you will solve that problem you are turning over and over in your mind. Your bills do not need to be paid, and your checkbook can be a mess. Your children may have been up half the night, your hearing aids may not be working, and your knees may be creaking. You do not need to be already perfect or even halfway to belong in this circle where grace meets us where we are, but does not leave us as it found us. Where love resides in each of us, yet is somehow more than all, where life still pulses and rages and heals and transforms, creating us and this day anew once again. Come, let us worship together. The reading this morning is from a book called A Memory of Light by Brandon Sanderson and Robert Jordan. It is from a series called A Wheel of Time, and it is a piece I'm going to read from the last book. But if you have not read the books, this will not ruin anything for you. And the only thing you need to know about the books is that Rand is the main character, and he is currently involved in a battle, sort of in an outside space between the Dark One and he who is the avatar, I guess, of the light. So in this world, it's the light versus the dark. The threads of possibility resisted Rand as he wove them together into the world he imagined. He did not know what that meant. Perhaps what he demanded was highly unlikely. This thing he did, using threads to show what could be, was more than simple illusion. It involved looking to worlds that had been before, worlds that could be again, mirrors of the reality he lived in. He didn't create these worlds, he merely manifested them. He forced the threads to open the reality he demanded, and finally they obeyed. One last time, the darkness became light, and the nothing became something. He stepped into a world that did not know the Dark One. Not a cloud marred the brilliant sky. Rand looked up, raising his arms, and stepped out from beneath the blossoming branches into the deep, warming sunlight. No guards stood at the way into the palace, only a kindly servant who answered questions for some visitors. Rand strode forward, feet leaving tracks in golden petals as he approached the entrance. A child came toward him, and Rand stopped, smiling at her. She stepped up, reaching to touch the sword at Rand's waist. The child seemed confused. "What is it?" she asked, looking up with wide eyes. "A relic," Rand whispered. Laughter from the other children turned the girl's head, and she left him. Rand walked on. "Is this perfection for you?" The Dark One's voice felt distant. He could pierce this reality to speak to Rand, but he could not appear here as he had in the other visions. This place was his antithesis, for this was the world that would exist if Rand killed him in the last battle. "Come and see," Rand said to him, smiling. No reply. If the Dark One allowed himself to be drawn too fully into this reality, he would cease to exist. In this place, he had died. "I would like to see the Queen," Rand asked of the servant at the palace doors. "Is she in?" "You should find her in the gardens, young man," the guide said. He looked at Rand's sword, but out of curiosity, not worry. In this world, men could not conceive that one would want to hurt another. It didn't happen. "Thank you," Rand said, walking into the palace. Doors did not bear locks. Coinage was a nearly forgotten eccentricity. Magicians helped create food for everyone. Rand passed a window to the capital, where the magicians healed any who came and created gateways to bring loved ones together. All had everything they needed. Servants were helpful whenever he spoke to them. Nobody questioned why he wanted to see the Queen. This was a world without problems, a world where people worked out their own grievances easily, a world of giving, not dispute. What would someone need of the Queen? The queen, Elaine, looked at him from her bench. Her eyes widened immediately and her hand went to her mouth. Rand? Elaine smiled. Is this a prank? Daughter, where are you? Have you used the mask of mirrors to trick me again? It is no trick, Elaine, Rand said, sinking down onto one knee before her so that their heads were level. He looked into her eyes. Something was wrong. Oh, but how can it be? She asked. That wasn't Elaine, was it? The tone seemed off, the mannerisms wrong. Could she have changed so much? It had been 100 years. Elaine, Rand asked, what has happened to you? Happened? Why, nothing. The day is grand, wonderful, beautiful, and peaceful. How I like to sit in my gardens and enjoy the sunlight. Rand frowned. The simpering tone, that vapid reaction. Elaine had never been like that. We shall have to prepare a feast, Elaine claimed, clapping her hands. Rand looked into Elaine's eyes, looked into them deeply. A shadow lurked behind the eyes. Oh, it was an innocent shadow, but a shadow nonetheless. It was like that shadow behind the eyes of someone who had been turned to the Dark One. Rand jumped to his feet and stumbled backward. What have you done here? He shouted into the sky. Dark One, answer me. Elaine cocked her head. She wasn't afraid. Fear did not exist in this place. Dark One? I swear I remember that name. It has been so long, I get forgetful sometimes. Dark One, Rand bellowed. I have done nothing, adversary. The voice was distant. This is your creation. Nonsense, Rand said. You've changed her. You've changed them all. Did you think that removing me from their lives would leave them unaltered? The words thundered through Rand. Aghast, he stepped away as Elaine rose, obviously concerned for him. Yes, he saw it now, the thing behind her eyes. She was not herself, because Rand had taken from her the ability to be herself. I turn men to me, Dark One said. It is true. They cannot choose good once I have made them mine in that way. How is this any different, adversary? If you do this, we are one. No, Rand screamed, holding his head in his hands, falling to his knees. No, the world would be perfect without you. Perfect, unchanging, ruined. Do this if you wish, adversary. In killing me, I would win. No matter what you do, I will win. The end of the reading. We will now do a responsive reading, number 536. Morning poem. Every morning, the world is, oh, yes. Okay, 536. I'll give you some time, and I'll read this non-italics version, and you read the italics. Are you ready? Every morning, the world is created. Under the orange sticks of the sun, the heaped ashes of the night turn into leaves again and fasten themselves to the high branches, and the ponds appear like black cloth on which are painted islands of summer lilies. If it is your nature to be happy, you will swim away along the soft trails for hours, your imagination alighting everywhere. And if your spirit carries within it the thorn that is heavier than lead, if it's all you can do to keep on trudging, there is still somewhere deep within you a beast shouting that the earth is exactly what it wanted. Each pond with its blazing lilies is a prayer heard and answered lavishly every morning. Whether or not you have ever dared to be happy, whether or not you have ever dared to pray. We will now enter into spirit of prayer and meditation. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again today, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life and of love and wings, and of the gay, great, happening, illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any, lifted from the no of all nothing, human merely being, doubt unimaginable you? Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. And now we'll move into how to find optimism in horror. I am generally a very optimistic person, always finding silver linings where I can. When we hear about someone who is optimistic, we tend to think of things that are all sunshine, light, and rainbows. Author Stephen King has been publishing books since the 1970s. He is credited with reviving the genre of horror fiction in the late 20th century and has been called America's Bogeyman and the King of Horror. So what in the world do the two have in common? Let's find out. I have read all of Stephen King's books and short stories, I think. It is possible I've missed a short story here or there that was published as a standalone in other collections or magazines and have never been included in a Stephen King collection. I have also read all the books and novellas he wrote as Richard Bachman, and any he has written with another author. And to be complete, and because they're good, I've also read his oldest son, Joe Hill's novels, and I think all of his short stories. I tend to be a completionist when I find an author I like. And I've liked Stephen King ever since I read Firestarter. I think I was in either 6th or 7th grade. I chose Firestarter for my first one because I kept seeing the movie at the video store, but my parents wouldn't let me rent it, even though Drew Barrymore was in it. I finally saw the movie years after I had read the book. They probably made the right decision. I read the novel It in 8th or 9th grade, and I read as much as I could in between and afterwards. He very quickly became my favorite author and has stayed that way, all the way up through reading Finders Keepers, his most recent novel, at the beginning of the summer, though I don't think it was his best one. It wasn't my favorite, but that's okay. I have my favorites, and there are some, not just Finders Keepers, that I have not liked. And I did like Finders Keepers, just not my favorite. Even if you've never read a Stephen King novel, you know that he is the king of horror. His early books especially follow a bit of a formula. Maybe not as formulaic as classical fantasy, which is the reading that I read for you today is more classical fantasy, where a young person from a small town realizes they're able to perform the magic of the land and then have to save the world, having a lot of adventures on the way. But definitely they follow a pattern. A young person, especially in his earlier books, the protagonists are often young, either has or discovers something supernatural. There's something sinister that is a part of this, and this supernatural element often shows the more horrific side of people. The person goes through a journey, maybe of their mind, maybe geographic, and then if they make it, they may be pretty crazy or emotionally destroyed by the end. Even if you've never read a Stephen King novel, you've probably seen a movie or at least seen trailers for movies or TV shows based on those novels. Supernatural horror, every one. The aforementioned Firestarter, Pet Sematary, The Shining, It, there's Children of the Corn, Carrie, The Shawshank Redemption, Stand By Me. Hold on, those last two snuck in there. Those aren't Stephen King. Oh, but they are. They are Stephen King, but neither is horror at all. Shawshank Redemption, which I still watch every time I happen upon it on TV, is considered drama crime mystery and is based on the novella Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. And it has quite the uplifting ending. Stand By Me, which centers around young people, is considered an adventure drama, and none of the main characters is destroyed at the end. Even less horror than Shawshank Redemption. Then take a movie like Misery or Gerald's Game. Those have horror elements, but nothing supernatural. Instead, the horror is horror either within one's mind or that is done by people without even the supernatural to use as an excuse. Stephen King gave the commencement speech at my college graduation in 2001. Yes, I was so thrilled, as he was even then my favorite author. His two sons went to my college, and the younger one graduated the year before me. I got to shake Stephen King's hand when he walked back up the aisle at the end. During our run through the day before, I had been in the middle of the row, but during the actual commencement, I ended up on the aisle, and he shook hands as he walked up, even though I was on the wrong side, and we ended up shaking left hands instead of right. In 1999, 2 years prior, he was in a terrible accident while he was walking near his home. He was hit by a driver who then drove off, leaving him in a depression in the ground about 14 feet from the road. He almost died, struggled with lingering injuries, and even thought he was going to retire, announced he was going to retire afterwards. I graduated 2 years later, so his mortality was obviously still on his mind. He opened up by saying, "Last week, this week, next week, all over America, young men and women, and some not so young, in caps and gowns are listening to scholars, politicians, eminent thinkers, and probably Oprah Winfrey send them forth into their lives. You here at Vassar have invited the man most commonly seen as America's Bogeyman to do that. And I have to ask you, what were you thinking? What in God's name were you thinking?" He then proceeded to tell us that one day we would all die, and that perhaps was a bleak thing to tell us at what is otherwise a very happy day, but we did invite America's Boogeyman, and he had to tell us the scary truth because that's his job. You know the old proverb, don't you, about the woman who carries the drowning scorpion across the raging stream? Once they're on the other side, it stings her, and as she staggers to her knees, dying, she reproaches it for ingratitude. "Come on, lady," it says, "you knew I was a scorpion when you picked me up. And we knew he was the scary guy when we picked him for this job, so deal with it." That human life is brief when placed in time's wider perspective is something we all know. He then proceeded to share with us something he realized when he nearly died. You can't take it with you. He talked to us about altruism and being generous with the resources available to you, whether money or time, and announced that he was donating $20,000 to Dutchess Outreach, which is the county that Poughkeepsie is in, where Vassar is, in honor of our class, and would match up to the same amount in donations from our class. He started his commencement speech with a tone that seemed negative. You're all going to die. But at the end, he instilled us with hope. Through our lives, we can have a positive impact throughout by utilizing the resources we have to make the world a better place, whether in small ways or in large ways. His last words were, "So I ask you to begin the next great phase of your life by giving, and to continue as you begin. I think you'll find in the end that you got far more than you ever had and did more good than you ever dreamed." Does that sound like the message the King of Horror would impart? Actually, it does. I said at the beginning that many of his horror novels end with the main character usually pretty crazy or emotionally destroyed by the end. Sometimes dead, too. But though that may be an outcome, good has often prevailed. It may not be all sunshine, light, and rainbows, but it's also not Cormac McCarthy's The Road that left me in tears while finishing the book commuting on the T. And even The Road ends with an optimistic note. In March 2020, when we were going through a pandemic with a virus that sounded a lot like a flu virus gone crazy, I reread his novel, The Stand. The Stand is about a super flu pandemic that wipes out most of the world, except for a few immune folks who split into two factions, either following essentially good's champion or evil's champion. Ironically, they had finished filming a new version of The Stand as a 9-episode miniseries only a few months before the pandemic started. You might think it's crazy to read a book about a pandemic while going through one, but rereading the book actually made me feel better. Whenever I started to have moments where I felt overwhelmed, work was changed, everything was changed, my kids were at home. COVID was not actually an apocalyptic situation. We were not all going to die. Even in The Stand, everyone did not die. Things were going to be very different for a while, but we would figure out how to make things work as we needed to. And while there would certainly be some hardship and even some death along the way, the world would continue spinning and life would continue afterwards. So when there's so much going on in the world that seems negative, and it seems like maybe things are not going the way we want, and it's hard to stay positive about where things are going, maybe it's time to pick up a Stephen King book and be reminded that the twists and turns are unpredictable and scary, but there's also humor and delight. And in the end, there is a positive resolution. It may not look like we have hoped it would, but it is a positive resolution in the end. In the reading today, we saw an example of a battle of good and evil, where the protagonist fighting the evil realizes that you actually need a little bit of the bad in order to balance the good. It turns out too much of just one point of view or just one side of the yin or the yang does not give us a balanced world. And if you've had some introduction to Buddhist teaching, you've probably been introduced to its starting point, the inescapable truth that existence entails suffering. Stephen King is not afraid to talk about the scary things and to show the horrors that may exist, whether supernatural or even more terrifyingly, real life. He wasn't afraid to tell a group of graduating students that we were all going to die, that we can't take it with us, and to encourage us to always remember how we can help, whether in large or small ways, those less fortunate to us. In his books, even though the protagonist may end up dead or crazy at the end, good does prevail over evil, quite literally in his novel, The Stand. If you didn't know, his daughter Naomi is actually a UU minister in Florida. UUs individually believe in many different things, but I hope we can all agree that even when we are hearing about horrible things going on in the world, we know that we can do whatever we are able to do in order to have some impact on the world. Stephen King has said, "Optimism is a perfectly legitimate response to failure." Failure is a very complicated concept. We tend to see it as a problem, but it's also a wide open door to opportunity. The only person who can decide what a failure is and how far it holds you back is yourself, myself, ourselves. You have the possibility of seeing failure as something extremely negative, or to turn it around into an opportunity to learn and to look at it with extreme optimism. If you choose the latter, you'll be closer to reaching success. If you haven't ever read a Stephen King book and would like a recommendation, there is a Stephen King book for everyone, and I'd be happy to discuss those with you. But for now, go forth and be optimistic. And we'll now take the offertory. So if you'd like to come up with your offering. And now is your opportunity to share those joys and concerns that you'd like others to be excited about with you or to hold in their hearts for you.
Joy in the world. Joy to the world. No good news? Well, good news, of course, Red Sox are going to play off. Where are we? Concerned? The weather?
It is a reasonable.
Back to you, Lorna.
Thank you. Well, we will end with our hymn number 118, This Little Light of Mine.
Light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
In this community, we give and we receive. May we go forth now to share the bounty of our love.